All right, man, we're going to round this out with something fun. We're going to have our session player draft. We're each kind of going to make a band of guys who, in theory, would be available to us when we call them for sessions. So let's start where the only place you can start. Who are you calling for guitar?
Leo Nocentelli, the Meters guitar player.
I love the Meters. I didn't know his name.
Something about his style to me is just one of the best.
I think we're barking up similar trees. I'm going Nile Rodgers.
Oh, dude, excellent choice. And possibly more of a versatile studio musician. So, one thing as I was thinking about this is I was like, this is hard because it's so dependent on the need,
Exactly.
It's still a fun exercise, but it's like you could almost make a board game out of this where there would be a need somehow involved,
Sure.
But,
country star.
Right.
Blank.
Although Niall could probably nail the country gig too.
Oh, totally. That's why I got him.
I love him.
And
Okay.
just, my list is burning with talent. But when it comes to a studio song, I don't need flash. I want groove.
That's the other thing that came up for me is I was reminded of I think it was the making of Asia, Steely Dan. They were talking about how long it took them to get some of the songs. They were in New York, which was the center of sort of studio musicians at the time.
Yep.
Sort of LA wasn't quite there yet. They'd brought in like 3 bands of the top people. You could go through that list and be like, oh shit, yeah, those guys. And they couldn't get it right. You know what I mean? The moral of the story for me is like, you could put together many supergroup studio musician bands. You may never get a good record,
Such a good point. Such a good point.
And so to that point, the first thing I thought of when you brought this up, I was like, well, I think it's been done. And D'Angelo did it on Black Messiah. And
I basically pulled that whole band.
Yeah, I have them written down too. But I was like, he already did it. But again, it's for the need. Like those guys might not be able to make every record.
But what couldn't they make, Sam?
We should challenge them. Let's start a demand.
I want a Yiddish folk band.
I'm sure they'd be down.
Klezmer, Sam. Klezmer.
Ah, Klezmer. I like the scale in Klezmer.
Okay, speaking of the Black Messiah band, who do you have on bass?
So I chose a sort of outlier because now I have the subcategory with Pino Palladino as like, that's to me the best studio band that's been done. But I put down as just my for fun band, this guy, Gerald Jamat. I became aware of him on this B.B. King live record.
Okay.
There's this song and the bass is just slaying. It's super funky. I was looking at his credits and they're insane.
He's
like,
one of those guys
insane.
who's played on everything.
Yeah, like B.B. King is blues, right? Even though this is his sort of funky period, this dude has been on everything. So then I was like, well, this is a good choice then because this dude is clearly a studio musician. He's versatile as fuck. He's clearly funky, which is sort of this band. I think I'm making a funk session with this band.
We both are, but what else do you really want?
Yeah, exactly. If they can do that, they can do everything, right? So
Yeah.
Who's your guy?
I went Pino.
Good.
Pino Palladino. He's the man.
He's probably, if there was a vote, all the people we know would probably vote for him.
Yeah. My band is a little chalk. It's a little bit favorite heavy, but they're just some of these names. It's like, are you really going to go down a different road when you have a choice like that?
Yeah, no, totally. I saw him live in Houston. It was one of my favorite live shows ever. But, it makes me think, what's his name in Wolfpack? Joe Dart?
Oh, God, I love him.
That dude's bad. That dude is fucking...
Oh, I love him.
He's up there.
It's so when you brought that up, Sam, I literally thought I would just take Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if they were just the backing band for
that was
whoever
like
you
their
had.
idea was like they were going to be a studio band. It became like a band, but like they were right. They just were born in the wrong era. What I love about him, aside from just his groove and his talent, is his restraint. Like that's one of the things I think that makes for a great studio musician. You know what I mean? Like you could be the baddest motherfucker and can do the runs like nobody's business on however many strings your bass has. But if you can play the groove and then like once you boom, like,
oh yeah,
that's, and you're just like, oh, I saw Wolfpack at Emo's.
Oh, no way.
And I was kind of coming in, like, I loved the records, and I was coming in thinking, like, these guys aren't going to be great live. Like, they're not going to have personality, but they totally did. And yeah, dude, Joe Dart, like, just slayed grooves, and then, like, had one solo in a song, and, like, it was just like, holy shit. But it's that restraint that I think it's an understanding of the whole, you know, like, understanding that they are a cog in a machine as opposed to a feature.
I was talking to Jaime about this from Superphonicos. Both him and I are multi-instrumentalists, as are you. And I think the gift about that is when you play a lot of instruments on a song, you don't need any specific part to be everything. And I think what's intimidating about only playing drums on a song or only playing bass is you want to have your moment. You want to show the world, hey, look at me. I'm going to throw down. I'm really good. And so to go into a session and only get to contribute bass and play whole notes, there's something really cool about that.
There's things to get into with that. It's like, where does the note end? You know, like that kind of stuff. Like that's super important that someone who's like, yeah, but I can like maybe skipped over how powerful that whole note can be. You know, the attack, maybe if I hit it really light on a bass, it's deeper, you know? It's like there's so much nuance. Oh, is it slightly muted? Is it a thud? I love working with musicians from this side of the glass. I hate that saying.
Yeah.
But there's fucking glass, so I get it. I love it when, you know, these are amazing musicians, they're asking, like, you know, well, does that sound better if I do it this way or that way? Like, they want to know what's going to work best for the song.
Yeah. I mean, Sam, I think the reason we love music is because there's such depth to it. And what's cool is there's horizontal depth and there's vertical depth, right? The horizontal depth is, I'm really good. Here's 5 ways I could play that.
Right.
And you get to be like, wow, they're all really fucking cool. But then there's the vertical depth you just talk about. It's like, all I'm going to do is play a whole note. Do you want me to palm mute?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it staccato? Do you want me to dig in? And when you kind of start thinking on that level, I think you can really tap into some really powerful and beautiful things.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep the draft going.
All right.
On keys.
All right, so I sort of vacillated on this one because I realize it's the instrument I think about the least, which is
but maybe
horrible.
Is really the glue of it all.
It possibly is. And, you know, locally, I feel fortunate to know a couple really good keyboard players that, you know, Anthony Farrell, Micah Motenko, appreciate him. So I thought about it a bunch, and, you know, I kind of put Stevie Wonder down at first, and then I was like, well, you know, love Stevie, but then...
You can put Stevie on any instrument.
Right.
That's what's fucking fucked up.
Right. And I almost feel like just putting him as a keyboard player is like, he needs the different game with a different category that's like top musical geniuses of all time.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. Anyways, I landed on Billy Preston.
Oh my God, I love Billy Preston.
Again, if you go look at his credits, it's insane. Yeah. And it's multi-genre, which is also helps the team. You know, it's like he's played with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. He's played crazy funk all through the 60s and 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Totally versatile. Sings if you need him to.
Billy Preston's a great choice because I think he really is in that studio musician mold.
Right.
Where he gives you only what you need.
Right. If he got the call so many times, there must have been a reason. And this gets back to the hang, you know, it's like, that's so much of any success humans can have is be a nice person, be friendly, be amiable, check your ego, check your jealousy, all these things we've talked about, you know, it's like, I bet Billy Preston was a pleasure to have in the studio.
And I don't know this for a fact, but I would guess that Billy Preston is classically trained. He just seems like he has a really deep knowledge of the instrument. Like his voicings, the way he plays is just so rich and so like caked in experience and history. Yeah. I love his playing.
So that's another reason that he would get the call is like, there's that musical director, like he can really tie this song together and bring it to the next level with some actual theory kind of knowledge.
I picked somebody who I absolutely just love his playing, and I think Billy Preston makes more sense as your studio band. I went with Corey Henry. Do you know Corey Henry?
Yeah, I'm aware of him.
He got known for being in Snarky Puppy.
Oh, right.
Now he has his own group, Corey Henry and the Funk Apostles. I just don't know if there's anybody who can get an organ and sound like that going right now. Corey Henry lights it up. He's kind of a virtuosic talent. He has a famous Snarky Puppy solo where he like blew up. You should watch it. Everyone should watch it. Some people like play music like they breathe. He's that. Okay, on drums, huge question. We're both drummers. We need a great drummer. Who do you go with?
This was the hardest one for me.
Totally.
This is just one drummer I like.
Yeah.
It's almost like I threw a dart at a board of drummers that I like.
Yeah.
Jabbo Starks, James Brown, one of James Brown's drummers. Funky, kind of ghosting, the sound of the kit. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him and working with him a little bit. I have an actually signed drum head. That didn't play a role in my decision, but...
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, Clyde Stubblefield was the other major James Brown drummer. Could have chosen him as well. But I was sort of looking at the credits on the Jabbo songs, and I was like, I think this is the dude.
Man, it's so funny. They talk about, when you think about funk and James Brown, you think about it being tight.
Mm-hmm.
And like, not just in the pocket, but like tempo tight. I saw an amazing video where someone analyzed a James Brown song. In that song, Sam, shifted 30 BPM.
30?
30!
Wow.
For people who don't know,
I'm having trouble believing that.
BPM is beats per minute. It's how fast or slow a song is. Anyone could probably tell the difference of starting at like 4 BPM. You can start to hear it.
Yeah, that's like the difference between like, that's maybe 120 to like.
And it wasn't like, it was gradual. It was like in a breakdown section to another section, but it was just like so illuminating. The idea of like being tight or having pocket, that doesn't mean you're always playing perfectly in time. It means that you have groove and you're fluctuating with the vibe.
Totally, dude. I mean, I'm a big believer in this. Consider it songs breathing.
Yes.
And I try to encourage bands to play without a click.
Yes.
I think there's a point when people aren't proficient enough to play without a click. I think we've fallen into a falsehood in current times. The song should just have a tempo all the way through, a BPM that's the same. What you're talking about clearly proves that there's something that happens when you allow a tempo to be dynamic. I studied African drums, Senegalese rhythms and stuff, and it's like, we never used a metronome. We'd study with somebody. It was like, there would be active speeding and slowing down. Like the lead djembe player will be like, toka taka toka taka toka taka toka. Like it's part of your toolkit, you know?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when I'm working on songs with people that have been done to a click, sometimes like an elevated section like a chorus will feel lacking and slow because that didn't happen. It ties into a bigger conversation I could have sometime about like pitch and all the ways that we sort of seek to perfect music these days. That
sterilize.
Yeah, we can inadvertently take away something, and tempo is totally one of them.
Yeah, we'll bring you back for a whole conversation about tempo and sucking the life out of music by putting everything on the grid and quantizing it.
I'll just say a little catchphrase. It's like, I think the flam matters. You know? And it's like
lessons to live by.
When you zoom in on some waveforms and everybody in the band is like, brah, you know, it's more power than if you're just all there. Then you start to cancel each other out with the waves. It's just physics, man.
Sam, I went Quest.
Yeah.
I just kind of went chalk here.
He's on my paper, like I said.
He's not even my all-time favorite drummer. I love Chris Dave. I love Brian Blade. I love Matt Chamberlain. I love a million drummers, but versatility. I love how he thinks about sound. I think he's a drummer who thinks as much about timbre as he does about part, which I absolutely adore. And then there's the hang. Think about who's coming by.
Oh, God, yeah.
Mos Def's going to come hang. Talib Kweli, Erykah Badu, The Roots. I want them coming through. I want to hang with them.
Now, that's a big deal, and that's a good move for your future, too. So you're thinking, as a musician should, you got to have those connections. I named dead guys.
We got a couple more here. Did you? I selected a vocalist. They're not going to be the lead vocalist, but somebody who's going to sing harmonies, kind of be there to fill in gaps. Do you have anyone like that?
It occurred to me, just Amy Winehouse popped into my head. And it's like, and then I thought about Adele actually, but I do feel like Amy Winehouse sort of.
She's my favorite singers of all time.
To me, what makes a great vocalist is there's a few factors. For her, it's like she wrote her own lyrics. She sang them with feeling. You really believe that this is her. You know, where someone like Aretha Franklin, one of my favorites, didn't write a lot of her songs, you know, as was more common back then. But then Amy also brings what someone like Aretha has, which is like the timbre and the pipes and just like the tone.
Yeah, I think with vocalists, it's like, I like originality. You know, Adele to me has like the most classic voice. She could sing anything. Amy is so Amy.
Mm-hmm.
But singers like that. On the other hand, I don't know if it makes her the perfect studio person.
No, she's probably hard to work with. Was hard to work with. Rest in peace. She may not be like helpful with your backup vocals and stuff, but who did you choose for this utility role?
Yeah, this was part for the hang, part for just like making him like beatbox stuff for me during the breaks. I went Bobby McFerrin.
Oh, nice, dude. Wow, yeah. Didn't expect that.
You know,
thinking about
I
him
love
recently.
his voice. It's so beautiful. It's so pure. Incredible pitch. He could harmonize with anything. He seems so wise and like elegant. It would just be fun.
Good choice.
Arranger, producer. Did you think of something for those roles or no?
I did not.
Okay.
Alan Toussaint, just off the cuff.
Totally. I went with, I did a new one. I pulled somebody recent. I went with Kevin Parker, Tame Impala.
Dude, can I change mine to that?
Yes, we can both have Kevin Parker. That'd be so fun.
But yeah,
I love him.
I'm
He
a
plays
huge
everything.
fan.
His records sound fantastic. He seems to get the history.
I feel like I talk about him once a week.
All right, Sam Patlove, Buds Recording Services, a beautiful person. Thank you for joining us tonight, man.
Thank you, Sasha. It's been fun.